So, hey Gemini, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you find it in 2026. And I'm not doing the Celtic cross for you, but I'm doing 10 cards, and I'm rearranging or arranging them however it makes sense. So whatever comes up. Here's the Knight of Pentacles for you, my friend, and the Ace of Wands. So you're working on something that you are very passionate about. New ideas, new fire energy, but very practical energy, right? The Ace of Cups is that fiery aspect. And the Knight of Cups is slow and steady wins the race. So you're doing your homework, so to speak. I guess you can be passionate about something and be very still, be very calm, concentrated, and focused on what you're doing. That seems to be a good combination here. There's another ace that's going to, you got all four elements right here, right? Two aces, the Ace of Wands, now the Ace of Swords. That's the consciousness, the new idea. And there's something unconventional that you're probably working on with your Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles mindset, slow and steady, right? You're just showing up, you're just doing your thing. You're very passionate about that, right? So it means something for you. And you got so much, there's a lot of wisdom, can we say this? New ideas, old ideas maybe, but you're communicating them, you're bringing them to the table, and this is connected to the heart space, and it's a little bit unconventional. Okay, so let's just see where this is going. There's the Six of Hearts. I think that's the Three of Wands, overlooking the harbor, waiting to board a ship, and there you are, boarding the ship, right? Moving on to calmer shores, right? Taking out the drama. Seems like you had a lot of drama and you're moving on from that. That's you on the mountaintop, so to speak, overlooking the harbor, and you're making a choice to go into a phase of your life maybe where things are a little bit more relaxed, right? More steady, more easygoing, less drama, right? Calmer shores. You're already working on something that is a little bit unconventional, right? So it's not your everyday thing. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's something your heart is connected to, right? So whatever you're doing, whether it's artwork, whether it's poetry, whether it's writing, whether it's this or that, whether it's sport, fitness, yoga, I don't know, whatever you're doing, right? It's not necessarily conventional, but the approach, how you go about it, right, is pretty conservative, right? That's the Knight of Pentacles, slow and steady. You're protecting what you love to do. That's pretty much what you love to do. And you're planting your seeds and something will come out of it. You got something beautiful, by the way, is coming out of this. So you get two aces, the Ace of Wands, fire energy, passion, but it is a form of passion that is not about suffering for your passion, right? But it is about joyful creation, having fun with your passion, right? When you learn to ride the bike, you probably fall down, right? But that's the suffering part of passion. But if you're passionate enough about learning how to ride the bike, you will eventually do exactly that, learn how to ride the bike. But in the process of learning it, you're going to fall down, right? You're going to scrape your knee, something like that. So this is the suffering aspect of passion. But then eventually you get the hang of it and you know how to ride your bike. And then you can be passionate about riding your bike without falling down, without suffering for it, but just having fun with it. So there's your passion, it's something this is not just passion, this is something either spiritual or intellectual, and you're very practically, first of all, it's connected to your heart space, it's a little bit of unconventional, and you're super connected to it, practical, showing up for it, doing your homework, right? Even if if you're writing a book, even if you're doing a painting, you have to do the painting, so you have to put in the work. And it is a decision to do that. Not fighting windmills, but focusing on what you want to create, focusing on your talents, focusing on expressing the highest form of these talents. Not convincing people, not fighting people, not fighting windmills, right? Moving on to calmer shores. You've been to some sort of mountaintop moment, right? Three of Wands is somebody who has a journey behind him, and he's overlooking the harbor. Which ship to board is the next question. And this came out with the Six of Swords. You making the decision to take out the drama, take out the stress, allow all of these people, right, that you met on your journey and you left behind. They're not ready to board that ship, maybe, but you are, and you must trust yourself. You can't take them with you. They're maybe not ready to do that. So, trust into their ability to solve their own problems, to conduct their own lives. And you bought that ship into calmer shores, meaning that you're concentrating on your joyful daily creation, right? There's the Chariot, there's the King of Cups, beautiful, super support from the universe. Chariot is always this energy where you're working with dualities, but you're respecting both sides of it. So, as I said, if you had a journey, if you went through some sort of dark night of the soul in the last 2 years, maybe in the last 9 or 10 years, maybe since 2008, right? It hasn't been easy, right? Since 2008, especially, financial crisis, things like that, right? So we all have a big, fat journey behind us, and maybe we lost people, maybe we lost relationship, maybe we lost illusions about the world, about ourselves, maybe, and people, connections, right? So you have to move on and conduct your own life. And that means you're leaving behind something. That is the story of the Three of Wands and the Six of Swords here. You owe it to yourself to board that ship and go on your personal own journey. And you cannot convince other people. That's what I always say. Let's just do the last 2 cards before I... But it's just there's the Justice. There was the Devil, but it was just kind of a shadow aspect, probably hinting towards that journey that you made, right? Justice and the Wheel of Fortune. You owe it to yourself, and it is meant for you. You're no longer naive. You protect your stuff. You're prepared, right? You learned a few things, and you know how things work. And now you apply them, and the justice that you're bringing about in your life, it's meant for you, it's yours, so don't reject it. There is a blessing here. Trust your emotions, trust that offer from the universe, that gift that you got. You got a lot of gifts here. Use them, and use them wisely, right? Even nobody needs to understand your gifts, but you must respect and honor your gifts and act accordingly. So you got the Page. First of all, you have to accept the journey. You have to accept your own life, your own gifts, make the best of it. Slow and steady wins the race. But there's the Chariot. So this Knight of Pentacles has a lot of support, right? Even if this is the only stationary knight, the Chariot is actually also not moving, but the Chariot is super support from the universe, and this energy speeding up things, right? Everything is working in your favor if you focus on your talents. There's the intellect, there's the fire aspect. Focus on that, not suffering for your passion, but joyful creation with your passion, and expressing your ideas, expressing your wisdom. Slow and steady wins the race, super support from the universe, but you must make a choice to leave behind something, someone, some relationships, some maybe narcissistic relationships, maybe some narcissistic aspects within yourself. Trust that. You deserve peace and happiness, inner peace, happiness. Act accordingly, right? You totally deserve this, and it's your destiny to go into that direction, to board that ship, and to go into calmer waters. And the overall message here in this reading seems to take out the drama, right? Land that plane. If you have been, I mean, think about since 2008, basically. Since the last 10 years were pretty intense. That's a developmental cycle. Pluto in Capricorn since 2008 was a super heavy developmental cycle for all of us. So we're having a choice, right? Do we repeat that cycle, or do we allow ourselves to, go into that ship and on our own journey, right? And that journey is all about you expressing your talents, what is important for you, but in a peaceful, joyful way, right? Let's just see what comes up here. You got everything you need to do this, to manifest that. There's the Page of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles with the Page of Cups. Then you got the Queen of Swords. Laser focused on what you want to create. There's the Chariot again. I'm probably going to do the Chariot here. You got 2 times the Chariot now. And the King of Cups is acting in honor of his own emotions. So if something feels off, you always speak your truth, your emotional truth. If something feels off, if something feels wrong, then speak up. Not in an aggressive way, but you're just living your truth, your emotional truth. You're not betraying your own emotional truth. All of your freaking talents. And then there's the beautiful 9 of Cups. 9 of Cups is joyful creation, as I said. You're working on your talents, not for external recognition, right? There will people who find your work, who honor, respect your work, right? There's justice here, there's destiny here. I think you're finishing this big fat journey, and you're finally arriving at your true self, if that makes any sense. And you don't need to be Queen of Cups, King of Cups now, bottom of the deck, balance, right? You don't need recognition. You don't need to be grandiose about what you're doing. You just need to allow yourself to work on that, which is the highest expression of yourself. And you don't fight any windmills. You don't convince people. You don't advertise, you don't scream, you don't, go to the marketplace and say, oh, hey, did you know, blah, blah. Nobody wants to hear that, right? And nobody's ready to hear that. And now I'm telling my story about the 2nd grade elementary school. which I told a few times already, but it never gets old because there is a deeper wisdom in that. So you see, if you're in second grade elementary school, imagine you finished second grade elementary school, yeah? So you know everything there is to know about second grade elementary school. So you think you're the king of the world, right? You finished, you graduated from second grade elementary school, yay! You know, if you're an elementary school pupil, right, student, then you're a child, you're happy about your achievements, right? And you're just happy, you know? And then you move on, right? You have to move on. So you went through the dark night of the soul, you went through a developmental cycle. Let's just say that's second grade elementary school, whatever that means for you. Whatever you learned on your personal hero's journey, on your personal, throughout your personal dark night of the soul. That was second grade elementary school. Let's just conceptualize that in this example here, right? So you're finished. You're on the mountaintop. You graduated second grade elementary school. Now it's time to move on to third grade elementary school. So it goes on, right? It never stops, right? So there are new lessons for you to learn, and you can't stay in second grade elementary school. And you are standing on that mountaintop and you're about to board that ship. You're making that decision to move on from second grade elementary school because you just graduated. And then you look back and you see all the new second grade elementary school pupils, right, who just entered second grade elementary school. And you look back and you think, oh my God, you know, that's the moment here where you are right now. You look back over your shoulder basically and you think, oh my God, there are all these new second grade elementary school and I just graduated from it. Shouldn't I tell them? Shouldn't I educate them? Shouldn't I give them all of my notes and you know? And that's just not how it works. Second grade elementary school is there for second grade elementary schoolers, if that's a word, to learn on their own pace. It takes a year to learn. Some will fall back into first grade. Some will repeat the second grade a lot of times maybe. And others will move on to the third grade. You are moving on to third grade. That's the Three of Wands, right? You're boarding the ship. And you are a little sad. The Six of Swords is not just the victory march, right? The Six of Swords is more a depressing card. First of all, because, you know, when you just graduated from second grade elementary school, we could also say the hero's journey. We could also say the dark night of the soul, right? As I said, since 2008, Pluto in Capricorn, that was not a walk in the park. That was not really second grade elementary school. That was something harder. The last 9 or 10 years, very hard. But you're moving on from this. You don't want to stay there. So you have to understand that the best way to move forward is to board the damn ship and go on to your personal journey. Continue your personal journey and trust in the ability of the new second grade elementary school pupils to solve their own problems, to learn their own lessons in their own way. Maybe they come up with completely new solutions that you didn't even think about. So you cannot imagine someone from third grade running into second grade elementary school and saying, oh my God, I got all the solutions, here it is. They wouldn't even understand it because it's a cycle of development. You have to gradually learn that which is to learn in second grade elementary school. And you can't just give them all the solutions for second grade. That's not how it works. And there's a sadness in that, in accepting that, Six of Swords, in moving on from that, but that moving on from that is freeing yourself, and it's freeing yourself for all of your third grade projects that you got going. And chances are, if you still, let's just say you're in this elementary school where most of the pupils are in second grade elementary school, they will probably not understand your poems or clap about your artwork or your books that you're writing or your philosophy or this and that, right? They might not really get it, right? Because they just entered second grade elementary school. But that's no reason for you not to continue your own personal development and humble divine pride in your talents and going on with that, right? Slow and steady. Why? Because that's just your highest expression, right? You have to do what is right for you. You have to do what is good for you, what feels good. Let's not forget that we got the Page of Cups and the King of Cups. So by all means, it's about feeling, it's about emotion. Queen of Cups is also here, justice, the Wheel of Fortune. Your journey goes on, and your journey goes on in a different grade, on a different level. So that means you leave some people behind in second grade, but you have to trust in their ability to solve their own stuff and learn on their own pace. Do not be afraid to stand alone. Learn to love yourself, to be yourself a friend. For somebody needs to hear that, obviously. Watch Howl's Moving Castle 1,000,000 times. Howl's Moving Castle 1,000,000 times. Watch it. What else we got? Oh, that's a big one. It took me many years. James Baldwin, my most beloved quote. One of my most beloved quotes. What's the other one? Yeah, that's Erasmus. That's for next time. Watch Howl's Moving Castle, right? And this one is about James Baldwin. It took me many, many years of vomiting up all the filth I'd been taught about myself and half-belief before I was able to walk on the earth as though I had a right to be here. And you have a right to be, right? And you have a right to continue your own journey. And, if there are not too many people in third grade in this little thing here, on this planet, right? Then you still have to go, right? Maitreya 26. Let's just see what this is about. You can't ignore that. There are talents, there is joyful, loving creation, slow and steady, showing up for your joyful creation, for your passion, for your ideas, for your concepts, for your philosophies, for your worldviews, going into that direction. Super support from the universe, you showing up as consequently doing it. Page and Knight of Pentacles, Page of Cups, King of Cups, Queen of Cups, 2 times the Chariot, Justice, and the Wheel of Fortune, This is meant for you to be, to happen, and it's going to free you, right? It's going to free you from drama, because if you are a third grader in second grade elementary school, right, you're not going to be happy because no one understands you. The teacher expects you to behave like a second grader, and if you tell them what's the solution, they might not even understand you. They might think, oh, you're totally mad, right? So you're not doing yourself a favor if you stay in second grade. For someone out there, right? So I'm shutting up and I'm telling you, Maitreya, I'm reading this to you. Blue Angel Oracle deck. You have been on this earth many times, and you shall return many times. From each lifetime, you keep the most precious experiences, the ones that have made you the beautiful soul you are. You have witnessed humanity's unfolding and experienced all there is. Your mother in this life may have been your daughter in another. You may one day be your child's child. You have experienced poverty and wealth, happiness and sadness, sickness and health, and through it all you have in essence stayed the same. Life is an endless cycle, and you are your soul's endless unfoldment. Millions of Earth's years have passed, and many more millions will come. What will the future be like? What shall it bring? Perhaps we will all see things differently. Perhaps we will all see things differently. Perhaps we can start now. Is not everyone and everything worth loving? Are we not all, in essence, the same family? The divine is present in everyone, in all beings and everything. Like space, it is everywhere, all-pervading, all-powerful, all-knowing. The divine is the principle of life, the inner light of consciousness and pure bliss. It is our very own self. Ama. That's pretty deep, right? That's pretty deep. I would say it's not an endless repetition. It's not an endless cycle. I think it's a spiral. So you transcend and integrate, you learn stuff, just like in elementary school. You're not repeating the same lessons over and over. You're not staying in second grade forever. You move on, third grade, fourth grade, and then you move on to high school and university, college, whatever. So it's a cycle, right? It's a developmental. Hopefully, you're going on the upward spiral. You learn and you grow, and you learn more and you grow, and you cannot stay. It's in a universe that is constantly moving. You cannot stay, and this reading is for someone who learned something, who graduated in a way, who's standing on her personal mountaintop, and you're looking over your shoulder and you think, shouldn't I tell them? Do you sing? Do it because it is your highest expression, but by all means, move on and honor your talents, honor your blessings, be happy. And you will not be happy if you go back to second grade, because the second graders will not understand the third grader. And they might even treat him, her, not so well. So move on. That's for someone out there. That's a deeper reading than I expected. Reclaim your power. The moment you move on, that's Panther Spirit. That's a black freaking panther. I love this card a lot, this energy a lot. Reclaiming your power, number 44, by the way. Reclaiming your power is moving on, not going back, not fighting windmills, trusting in the people who are there to solve their own problems. And moving on. That is what you deserve. This is where your power lies. And this is also where your peace lies, your inner peace, your blessing. That's where your destiny is. You moving on the upward spiral. Not going round and round in a freaking circle, but moving on an upward spiral. I'm going to link 2 songs at the end of this reading. One is about a cycle, and one is about that. That's all I got. Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. There's a summer reading, there's a yearly reading. Check out Sun, Moon and Rising if you want the full picture. No, but I hope to see you next time. Ciao.